Jeff, you said the magic word earlier today, no rain.
Yeah, no rain on the way. Very quiet work week ahead. It's going to be a warm week as well. In fact, a warmer wrap up to the month of October. For the most part, temperatures at or above the 80-degree mark. Wednesday, likely the warmest day this week. Mornings, though, will stay cool. 40s tonight and then 50s for those morning temperatures for the rest of the week. And as you said, Rob, not a drop of rain showing up. Plenty of sunshine, dry weather. We may make it through the entire month of October with zero rainfall for a large part of the area.
All right, fingers crossed. Thanks so much, Jeff.
It's like the perfect temperature right now, isn't it?
I love it. Absolutely.
It's great. It's
All
great
right.
for sure.
Thanks, guys. WAAY 31 gives you 24/7 coverage. You can count on local news, breaking news, and severe weather. Do not go anywhere. LawCall is next.
This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight we're taking your calls and questions about car and truck wrecks. If you've been in an accident, you know suddenly you've got to figure out what to do with medical bills, how to get things paid. You may not be able to work. You've got to deal with talking to the insurance company, your own and the other sides. Do you need to call a lawyer? Do you need to go visit with a lawyer? And what makes that determination? Do you need to talk to a lawyer before you even speak to your own insurance company? Call in your questions tonight about car and truck wrecks. The 31 Law Call number, 256-536-0077. You can call in. We'll take your questions live on the air, but you can also text us questions to that same number, 536-0077. We've got Will Legan from Timberlake Legan Brooks. Good to have you here.
Right, Sharon, car and truck wrecks.
Car and truck wrecks.
You know, we got prom going on.
Oh, yeah.
You know, sadly, drinking and driving. We have a lot of,
Yeah.
sadly, wrecks around this time. Start talking about homecoming, prom. I guess I said I meant homecoming. So all these things. And, basically how to protect yourself against, drivers that are uninsured. Like you tell your kids, try and stay off the roads. Nothing good happens after midnight or even before that.
They don't listen to that, do they?
They don't. They don't. And we see, a lot of this time school gets ramping up, parties start ramping up, and the crazy driving and the wrecks and things. So be brave. Give us a shout. Car and truck wrecks. 536-0077. We've been getting a lot of text questions.
Yes.
So maybe people are more
enjoy
comfortable
those.
texting, but appreciate you being brave calling in.
And while we get all the calls locked in, we've got tonight's You Make the Law Call. We pull a video off of YouTube. If you're an experienced driver, to look around when you hear sirens. It may not be a police officer trying to pull you over. The siren you hear may be an emergency vehicle, like in this case. Okay, so who's got the right-of-way in something like this? Two red vehicles. Which red vehicle is going to be in trouble?
Right. Well, so you got the ambulance coming through. Statutory law states that if an ambulance police officer, if they properly have their sirens and lights on,
Okay.
like the law says, they have the right-of-way.
Okay.
That's an if. Let's say they fail to follow their own procedures. Here in this, it looks like, they're going to show it again, it looks like there's lights on.
Yeah?
And I heard a siren.
Here we go.
Okay. I didn't see that, but if there are lights on, then the ambulance has got the right-of-way. If not, if the ambulance failed to follow their own policy and procedure, then they could be liable to the other car. Again, you have a duty as a driver to make sure to keep a proper lookout, maintain your vehicle in a safe speed in relation to other drivers, and look out for other traffic. And if the ambulance has lights on, sirens on, they have the right of way. Now that changes if there's a state trooper. Had a case with the Supreme Court years ago, and there's an argument that a state trooper may have. They maybe have immunity or sovereign immunity or discretionary immunity, depending on if they're following their policy procedures.
Okay.
And so that makes it a little difficult from state to state. Could be different in Tennessee. Could be a little bit, different in Georgia. We handle cases up in Tennessee. A little bit different laws up there, but in short, if the officer or ambulance drivers do what they're supposed to do, usually they're going to be free of fault, and it's going to be on you. So the red car, not the ambulance, is at fault.
So what is the punishment liable to be? What's the penalty liable to be? If the red car is at fault there, are we talking about their insurance isn't going to cover them, or what's the outcome going to be?
Right, in that particular, the ambulance company wants their property damage taken care of.
Okay.
Let's say there's somebody in that ambulance that's injured further.
Yeah.
They have a claim against them. Now, we talk about civil and criminal law. They're two separate, two distinct, basically paths. Let's say, God forbid, that red driver, the red car was under the influence. Then that's a criminal, that's criminal conduct that could lead to the district attorney bringing charges with a grand jury, returning an indictment, and now you're charged with either assault, vehicular manslaughter, all the things you see on TV. If you're just make a mistake, probably won't be criminal, because remember, you have to have a criminal intent or do something so reckless that society deems that to be criminal, and has codified that through the legislature. So in that case, it's probably just negligence, but you just don't know. But that's the criminal side. The civil side is the red driver's insurance. So you would make a claim against that driver. Most of the time, the driver in Alabama, you have to have, or it's legal, or it's the law that you have to have insurance. And so that insurance steps in that defendant driver's shoes, defends him or her, and then pays any judgment up until their limits. So for example, if there's only $25,000 worth of limits and you have $50,000 of hospital bills, then you would only recover $25,000 from the insurance company. There's an argument that you can make a claim against the defendant driver, but do they have assets? Can you collect on that particular judgment?
Right.
And so it's important to have, in that scenario, Sharon, to have underinsured motorists. So in that scenario, if the other driver does not have enough coverage or has no coverage, your own insurance carrier with your own carrier will step in and pay dollar for dollar your medical bills and injuries to compensate you what you could not receive from the defendant driver. So it's very important insurance to get.
Okay.
And most people, we've talked about it for years and years and years, but it amazes me how many clients come in the office and say, I didn't know it was important. I signed that waiver. And so
uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage.
In a typical presentation, the law is under Alabama, is you have to be presented with that insurance. You have to affirmatively reject that. It's so important that the law down coming from Montgomery says, look, insurance companies, you have to provide this type of insurance coverage. Okay. And if you don't, you have to get your client to sign a specific waiver waiving underinsured motorists. And the reason the insurance carriers want you to resolve or waive that coverage is you're insuring against an unknown risk. So if you've got an illegal alien or somebody that hits you without insurance and goes back to their country, you're out of luck. And so if you don't have that coverage, it's something really to look into and review your policy.
We've got callers waiting. We've got Howie on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Howie. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yeah, hi. I have an uninsured motorist, and what I want to know is if I get into an accident and my insurance company says that there's a minor amount of contributory negligence on my part, if we go to court, who pays for the lawyer for the other side?
Okay.
Good question. What's he talking about?
So let's say, so you were in a wreck, you've got underinsured motorist, and what his question was what
He's
again?
saying, what if contributory negligence, if
Gotcha.
he's even a little bit responsible,
Right.
does that affect whether the insurance company is going to cover him,
Okay.
and will they cover his lawyer for him?
Okay, well, they won't cover your lawyer. Typically, in what we do, let's say I represented you. You and I would go and make a claim against the defendant driver, and under this scenario, it sounds like he did not have automobile insurance. So let's say your company is insurance company A. They step in that shoe. So it's you versus defendant driver, and if you recover against that defendant driver, your own insurance pays that claim up to the limits. However, the defendant driver will have the defense of contributory negligence. And what that means is if you contribute to that wreck, if you run the red light, if you did something that was negligent, something you should not have done or you violated the law, even in the smallest amount, Alabama law says you cannot recover anything. Now, the defendant driver's insurance company or your insurance company, if it's an underinsured or uninsured motorist situation, will pay for the attorney of the defendant driver. That's right. Your carrier, Company A, pays for the defendant driver's lawyer in that scenario. And again, you wouldn't know for that lawyer, but if you were found contributory negligent, you wouldn't be entitled to compensation, medical bills, all that, even if you're 1% at fault. So Sharon, what I typically say to people, let's say I'm coming down the street, four-way stop with my head out the window, steering with my feet, been drinking all day long.
Okay.
All right, four-way stop, and there's 50 witnesses right there. You come up to a stop sign and you barely roll through the stop sign.
Okay.
I come through at 100 miles an hour and hit you.
Yeah, you're responsible.
It's my fault
It's
because
your
I was
fault.
coming 100 miles an hour, but you rolled through the stop sign. You technically broke the law, and all those people saw it. And so my lawyer would say, because you were at least a little bit at fault, you couldn't recover from me. And is that fair?
It doesn't seem fair.
It's not fair. And that's why in Tennessee, in Georgia, and these other states are comparative negligence. And basically what that means under that scenario, if I'm going a million miles an hour and go through a stop sign and hit Sharon, even though she technically rolled through the stop sign, it was still my fault 99.9%. So Sharon would be able to recover 99% of her damages, and I would get credit for that 1% that she contributed. So it's a little more of a fair disposition of liability. And I don't know if Alabama legislature is ever going to address it. Insurance companies are running the show down there, so they probably won't. It gets a lot of insurance companies out of making any type of compensatory payment, and this caller sounds like he was a victim of that as well. And that comes up in a lot in our cases. Sure
It's
does.
very unusual, right? Alabama is very unusual.
Yeah,
in
we're
having
one of
that.
only a handful of states that still have the archaic contributory negligence, and sadly it doesn't look like it's going to be changed anytime soon. But if you're talking to your legislature, maybe mention that.
If you're going to hit me, let's do it in Georgia or Tennessee.
Yeah, sadly, yeah.
We've got Amber on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Amber. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Sharon.
Hi.
My question is, over the past 3 weeks, Governor's Drive, University Drive, and Sibley Road, when there is an emergency vehicle, no one pulls over. No one.
I've been on Governor's before, and an ambulance is coming up, and there's 3 lanes of traffic going this direction, and nobody seems to move. So
Nobody will
we're
move.
supposed to, right? You're supposed to move over, even pull off the road.
Amber,
Is that-
are you seeing them? Are you seeing them move at all, or are you just continuing ordinary course of business?
I see it every single day.
You know,
I've seen it too. It's one thing when it's so packed and you're stopped at a light or something, you can't move over at that moment, but we're supposed to all move over, give them the chance to get through.
Right.
If it's your loved one, you certainly want them to get
you know,
through that.
it's the law of emergency vehicles. You're supposed
Yeah.
to do what you can do to clear the way, clear the path, do what's reasonable without being unsafe. And what she's describing, sadly, is everybody is getting more and more busy. Do people care? Is compassion at an all-time low? Well, based on this caller and people not getting out of the way or not even making an attempt to and just continuing to drive, could you be pulled over for it? Yeah, typically they got more important things to do, and it's wrong, selfish, and against the law. And so you're supposed to take evasive action and maneuver your vehicle to make it safer for emergency responder. And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It seemed like it's a decent thing
Yeah.
to do, which sadly we're at a little bit of a shortage of that right now.
Thanks, Amber. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back answering more of your questions about car and truck wrecks. Stay with us.
You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call. Your rights, your calls, live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. Featuring the knowledge and experience of Attorney Michael Timberlake, Attorney Will League, Attorney Heath Brooks, Attorney William Maservi. And hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. Tonight we're talking about car and truck wrecks. Will League is here from Timberlake, League & Brooks answering your questions, and we've got callers waiting. Phone number 536-0077. You can call or you can also text, and we've got text coming in as well. We've got Ethel on the line with a question from Athens. Hi, Ethel. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yeah, I just want to know if you got full coverage on your car and you let somebody else drive it, would your insurance take care of it?
Good question. If you let me drive your car and I wreck it, does the insurance cover?
Ethel, let me ask you this. How often are you letting that person drive your car?
No, I don't. Someone else did. I was just wondering, because I didn't think nothing about it in case they have an accident.
Yep.
Right.
Would your insurance cover it?
Depends. Depends on, usually, under most policies, depends on whether or not you regularly allowed that person to use your vehicle. If it's a once-off or every now and then, if that person has your permission to use that vehicle, permissive use, then your insurance company would cover that person if they had a driver's license and were legally, able to drive. However, let's say that person used your car on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they're regularly using your vehicle. Under that circumstance, they're a regular user and they're not named on the policy, so you're at risk for them denying that claim, not only if that person was sued, or to get your vehicle fixed. So you may negate your coverage. Every now and then is fine as long as they're a permissive user, they're not drunk, you don't do anything negligent in allowing them to use your vehicle. For example, if they're drunk and you know it and you throw them the keys, you're liable as well now, and you're negating your own insurance coverage. So every now and then, general rule is fine, but you do it more than that, then you're subject to get denied. And our parents always told us, you always heard, don't let anybody drive your vehicle.
Right.
We can all be sued.
Right.
Well, only if you do something wrong, if you let someone use your vehicle who you know is in an intoxicated or some type of incapacitated situation.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a misnomer way back when.
We're enjoying getting text questions in these days. We got this one. I was hit by a drunk driver. I was taken to the emergency room, and when I got home, I was badly hurt, but nobody ever gave me a police report or a card or anything. They said he didn't have insurance and he's no longer living at the place where he was.
Okay.
What do you do about that?
All right. Oftentimes, wreck, they whisk you off in the ambulance, don't know what to do. You're worried about your safety, your health, all that. Oftentimes, the officer will come to the hospital, provide you information, and that's normally the standing operating procedure. Sometimes the officers get busy. Maybe they're tracking down, depending on what time, what shift they're on. Sometimes they can't get down there, and that's the exception, not the rule. You can go down to your local police department. If you know if it was Huntsville PD, was it the county, was it a state trooper, and that'll let you know where you go and get that particular police report. And then from there, you can go back, and we're looking at body cam and things like that to get more evidence in our cases. So first, get that police report. Okay. Then you can maybe find out. And again, like we talked about earlier with the other caller, if that person did not have coverage, hopefully you have underinsured motorist coverage or uninsured motorist coverage to cover you for your injuries, medical bills, and things like that. Now, that will not cover the damage to your vehicle. You have to go into your own comprehensive and collision for that.
Okay. We've got Mike on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Mike. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yeah, it's me and my wife was in a wreck back in February, almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
And we are trying to get our extended warranty back from the car. The car was totaled.
Okay.
And we know what the car was sold after it was totaled, but the place we bought the car from is refusing to return our extended warranty money back to us.
Okay.
Interesting question.
What do I need to do?
So, all right, so you had an extended warranty on the vehicle. The vehicle's totaled, right?
Right.
And the insurance company said, let's say your car's worth, I'm making up numbers, let's say it's worth $10,000. And what you're saying is it's not only is worth 10, but you had maybe another 1,000 in an extended warranty. Is that correct?
Do what now? I can't hardly hear you.
Okay. So under the scenario, let's say they say your car's worth $10,000, okay, and they pay you that. You're saying that maybe you have maybe $1,000, I'm making up numbers now,
They didn't give us nothing.
For extended, I'm not certain the extended
What
warranty.
it was, we were sitting at a red light, and a woman hit us in the rear end and towed us our vehicle out.
Right. Well, under Alabama law, you're entitled to the fair market value of your vehicle. Go ahead. I interrupt you. Go ahead.
The woman didn't have no insurance.
Okay.
We had uninsured and underinsured motorists. And the woman hit us in the rear end and totaled it out, knocked the back end from us into the driver's seat.
Yes,
Wow.
sir. Yes, sir.
Glad you guys survived.
That's right. That's
And
right.
it's still tied up in court today.
Are you in court? You filed a lawsuit?
Right.
Okay. All right. So under Alabama law, you're entitled to the fair market value of your vehicle. Let's say it's worth $10,000 and you got a lien on it for $15,000. Well, the insurance company, your insurance, not underinsured motorists, but your collision and comprehensive, will cover you for that $10,000 minus your deductible. All right. And if you have an extended warranty on there, they don't have to pay that because, again, under Alabama law, they only have to pay you the fair market value of the vehicle. And I don't think the argument would prevail that a fair market value included an extended warranty. And so, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to recover that under Alabama law.
Okay. We got this email question. This is from Walt. Walt wrote, I was hit by a drunk driver in downtown Huntsville. He had no license and no insurance. I spent 2 days in the hospital. What recourse do I have to get my medical bills covered?
A couple of different ways. We talked earlier about criminal law. Okay, so if you got a drunk driver that hits you, let's say he or she was arrested for DUI. All right, that's under the criminal aspect of the law. The district attorney will prosecute that driver for driving under the influence, assault, battery, whatever your injuries were. Oftentimes, when a defendant is convicted, not only is a punishment, but they have to compensate the victims or pay into a victim's compensation fund, and that fund helps victims, such as yourself, in this particular one who texted in,
Right.
Whatever your medical bills would be. So that driver may be under probation until those bills are paid off.
Okay.
That's under the criminal aspect. Where we come in is we make a claim against that defendant driver, and sometimes that defendant driver's insurance carrier, but in this case did not have one. So again, not only does the victim's compensation fund on the criminal side, but underinsured motorists, seems like we talked about that a lot tonight.
Yeah.
That will come in to compensate you for your medical bills, lost wages, and physical pain and suffering from that particular wreck. And that's what the underinsured motorist does. But the criminal aspect is a separate and apart. And so that's something you want to stay in contact with the DA, because in the DUI cases, oftentimes they're prosecuting those cases. Sharon, we've got, sadly, several death cases going on where the driver was driving intoxicated, killed our client, and we're waiting for the criminal side to be finished so we can complete our side. Because again, as you've all heard on TV, the Fifth Amendment, they don't have to testify against themselves in the criminal aspect. But the civil case, they can't behind that.
So you have to get the criminal case out of the way before you can even do the civil case.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, we got this text question in. If I have full coverage on my vehicle and my daughter drives me because I've got health problems, if we have a wreck, will my insurance pay? Does she or he, do they need to put the daughter on the insurance if they're being driven?
To be safe, I would say yes.
Okay.
Because again, if your daughter is regularly driving that automobile and there's an exclusion on your policy for someone who regularly operates your motor vehicle, whether for work, play, leisure, any of that, they can deny that claim. So if you're going to have somebody consistently driving, you want to either have them as a named insured or an additional insured, just so you don't run into the problem of, okay, something's happened, and your insurance company then finds out the daughter's been driving you for the last few weeks, and they can determine that to be, more than every now and then.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of obtuse and ambiguous, but again, the more they drive it, the more at risk you are for them denying that particular claim. And again, that could be, thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to fix your car, replace your car. God forbid you hurt yourself or somebody else. It gets real quick.
We got this email question from Kelly. My cousin was at a stoplight when a delivery truck hit him head on. He's been in a coma since the accident. The other driver wasn't even hurt, and his insurance has been calling my aunt, but she's too upset to deal with it right now. What should we do?
The typical presentation is once the defendant's insurance company knows that there's a claim, the first line of defense is to reach out to the plaintiff, reach out to the injured party, and try and get a release. That's the operating procedure. Oftentimes, they're able to reach that person. have them sign a release, then they're off the hook, game's over, no claim to be made.
Oh, wow.
In this scenario, you know, they're dealing with somebody in a coma, they're calling the aunt trying to get information, and it could be as innocent as they're trying to just work their claim and get things started and help them. I hope that's the case. Or as sinister as, hey, please sign this release and we'll get back with you later. We've seen it all. And so, you know, support your aunt, do what you can, but try and shepherd the cause from her to y'all's lawyer. Go and sit down and talk to somebody, our firm, somebody else that does personal injury work that can at least start gathering evidence. You know, we tell people that evidence is like water in the sun. It splashes around, it evaporates, and if you don't get it while it's there, it's gone.
We'll be right back, taking a break. If you didn't get your questions answered tonight, here's how to get in touch with Will League with Timberlake League and Brooks in Huntsville, 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com. And if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way.
And our very own Sharon Doviet, Huntsville Family Law Attorney, 539-7337, SharonFamilyLaw.com.
We will see you next week. Thanks for all your calls and questions.
All right, good night.